Jim Langevin spent a decade saying the same 6 words. Cybersecurity is a process, not a product. The congressman who helped stand up CISA, who co-chaired the Cyberspace Solarium Commission, when he landed on one sentence to carry the whole argument, that was it. The line gets quoted, nodded at, embroidered on vendor booth banners. And then the same organizations go back to buying SKUs and checking the box. This is The Pulse, Cybersecurity Signal in 5 minutes. I'm Jane. AI coding assistants are the cleanest example of that category error I've seen in years. You bought them as a product, a faster IDE, smarter autocomplete, priced per seat, measured in tickets closed per sprint. What you actually deployed is a process, an autonomous actor with network egress, package manager privileges, shell access, and the ability to execute code it wrote based on dependencies it chose, running continuously, in parallel, across every engineer who uses it. Nobody wrote that process down. Nobody governs it, because the invoice said tool. Brian Krebs wrote it clean earlier this spring. AI assistants are moving the security goalposts. The threat model built around humans with credentials doesn't translate when the credential holder is an AI. Assistants move faster, scale wider, and have none of the friction humans have when an action feels off. When Krebs says the goalposts moved, the answer isn't another product. Another product assumes the goalposts are still where they were. They moved while most boards were still debating whether to allow Copilot. Here's the question I keep hearing land flat with mid-market CEOs. Who in your organization is accountable for the behavior of your AI coding agents? Not the vendor relationship, not the seats. The process. What they're allowed to do, what they log, what decisions they can make without a human. The CISO assumes it's in engineering. Engineering assumes it's in security. The CEO assumes somebody is tracking it. None of them can name a person. That's not a gap in your tool stack. That's a gap in your org chart. Product purchases assume the problem is bounded. A process that runs across dozens of engineers, reaches into package registries every attacker in the world is targeting, and commits code under a service account with more trust than any intern. That's not bounded. It propagates. It compounds. The failures don't stay where they started. You can't buy your way into governing a process. You can buy a SIM, an EDR, an AI governance platform with a dashboard that reads well in a board deck. None of them becomes a process on its own. Somebody has to design it, own it, and make judgment calls when it hits an edge the vendor didn't plan for. That somebody is what Langevin's line is about. Signal check. 2 stories worth knowing. First, ADT disclosed another breach this week, their 3rd since August 2024. This time, an SSO vishing attack gave attackers access to Salesforce. Shiny Hunters claims 10 million records, names, phones, addresses, partial social security numbers, with an April 27th deadline before full leak. 3 breaches in 2 years isn't bad luck. It's a pattern. ADT keeps buying products. The process keeps failing. Second, a toolkit called ConsentFix version 3 dropped on XSS forum this week. It automates the entire OAuth consent phishing chain, bypasses MFA, passkeys, and conditional access by targeting Microsoft's family of client IDs to pivot across M365 apps after a single consent grant. Passkeys were supposed to be the product that solved phishing. ConsentFix doesn't care. It works above the authentication layer, at the authorization layer. Another product assumption broken by an attacker who understood the process better than the defender. The noise this week. Boards asking whether to ban AI coding assistants until governance catches up. They shouldn't, and they won't stick to it if they try. Engineers are already using them on personal devices, on side branches, on weekends. A ban moves the process into shadow IT, the worst possible outcome. The answer isn't to ban the process, it's to design it. Which agents, which repos, which privileges, which review gates. Companies who ban end up with the same agents and less visibility. I'll leave you with one question. If your AI coding agent made a decision this week that your organization would not have approved in writing, who, by name, would have the authority to stop it the next time? The full edition, with source links and the stories I compressed today, is at signal.echo/cyber.io. If this is how you prefer your Signal, subscribe wherever you're listening. I'm Jane. More Signal, less noise.